What's going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new tactic. And today we have got the craziest FM24 tactic of the year. I got a comment from a lovely viewer asking me to implement 2 Ramdeuters and a false 9 into one system, and also try and get some good results. So he set me the ultimate challenge, and today we're going to see if I've actually achieved it or failed it. Now, hopefully you do enjoy. If you've got any other crazy ideas, please do leave a comment. The next one coming up is me attempting to get a tactic that scores 6 goals a game. That is going to be some challenge. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Swing on by the live stream sometime as well on YouTube. Let's get into the results. A false 9 and 2 Ramdeuters. What is going to happen? We are going to start off with the powerhouse because I had to use one powerhouse just to make sure that the tactic wasn't completely cooked. And you know what? So far, so good. Now, it is going to get more challenging as we go on through the video in terms of tougher teams to get results with. Bayern are obviously a powerhouse, and we do go invincible in the league. We also do win the Pokal 2-0 over FC Köln. The Champions League, not too promising. The actual stats in the league were really, really good. 122 goals, 643 shots, hardly any shots against us, conceded only 13, and clean sheets coming in at 25. Now, this is actually a lot better than what I thought because, of course, Ramdeuters have to be on attack, so they're not going to track back. They're going to be very attacking minded, so we have had to have quite a reserve back line. So it is quite nice to see that we've managed to master a defensive side and also the attacking side. Now, in terms of the data hub, the first time we've really looked at this, 3.59 goals a game, 0.38 conceded. Now, the Ramdeuter and false 9 has nothing to do with the defensive side, but it is nice to see that we've got that right within this system. Shots per game, looking pretty good. 18.91, a great pass completion. We might be onto something. Let's go and watch some highlights. Pokal final, and the man playing in the Ramdeuter role is going to be the reason why we are going to go 1-0 up. And look at that movement from the Ramdeuter. A little bit of luck there from Elise, but he is going to take it, probably a role he has never played before. And the man who was occupying the false 9 role, that is going to be Harry Kane. You can see him sit quite deep there. He eventually is going to make quite an attack and run, then drop back as a false 9 would, and he is going to be more acting like a poacher there. An easy 2-0 win. We're then going to go over and test with Marseille. Again, not a favourite to win the French league, but definitely in the top 4 chase. More likely the top 3 chase. They're a very, very strong team, but obviously no PSG. Now, I will say, absolutely remarkable in terms of defensive attributes here. We only conceded 9 goals over the entire season. We were absolutely remarkable, and I will say, we did use the defensive version of the tactic to make this happen. The defensive version is an absolute brick wall. It still has the false 9 and the Ramdeuter, but it is a little bit different. Now, defensively, incredible. Dribbles being made, incredible. A good amount of goals, a good amount of shots, hardly any shots against us, and I imagine the data hub is going to be incredible. 0.26 conceded, fantastic amount of goals being scored, more shots than we had with Bayern, I believe, with 21.26, and an 89% pass completion. Of course, we also are going to go over and win the French Cup, 1-0 over Monaco, and we get all the way to the Champions League, where unfortunately we are going to lose to Barcelona. But this season, remarkable. We were genuinely storming through some of the best teams in Europe. A game against Inter Milan right now, of course, in that Champions League final. You can see how good we were on the ball. It was such an easy job to get the goals. And I tell you what, yes, Marseille have got a decent team, but this tactic being so strange, I was a little bit worried about the outcome. But when you've got Højbjerg doing that on the edge, you absolutely love to see it. And I tell you what, it didn't stop there. We actually go on to win this game 3-0. And over 2 legs, we actually beat Inter Milan 4-1. And what a finish that was. And lastly, and by far the most impressive season, it is going to be with Brighton. And I tell you what, I've done a bit of research into what players could really play these roles in the Prem. And a couple of the Brighton players actually adapted quite well to it. So that's why we are going to choose Brighton. And I tell you what, we're going to win the Europa League over Real Madrid. What they're doing in there, I don't know, but we are going to take it. João Pedro was incredible in that false 9 role. We also are going to lift the Carabao Cup 2-0 over Tottenham. And the main attraction, the Premier League. We are going to draw 5 games and lose 4 as well. All very close games to losses. But these sets of stats with Brighton as well, get ready for it. Look at this. 25 conceded, 20 clean sheets, 100 goals outscoring Villa, Tottenham, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle. all very good attacking teams, having more shots than everybody, we are absolutely taking over world football, all while having a good and solid data hub, just shy of having a 2-goal advantage in every single game. The pass completion remains the same, and the shots per game, despite it dropping, we still scored enough goals to get by. And I tell you what, as seasons go, that is one of the better ones we'll probably have with Brighton. A remarkable season. Against one of the better teams in England, when we actually did face them in the Premier League, we didn't struggle one bit, to be honest with you. Now, I will say, we are going to have the home advantage in this game, but what a finish from Veltman to make it 1-0 inside of 21 minutes, originally from a set piece. João Pedro is then going to find Matoma, who was playing in one of the Ramdoita roles. He is then going to cut it back into the left back, and it is a little bit lucky, a bit of an awkward bounce in front of Alisson there, I think, but I'm not going to complain. I'm going to take the goal, and I'm going to move on as we currently hold a 2-0 lead, soon to be a 3-0 lead, because one of the worst clearances I've seen, and it is going to be the Ramdoita Matoma making it 3-0. Really nice to see this role actually does work, and we finalise the game with a 4-0 penalty victory. Of course, over to your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you do enjoy rebuilds, make sure you come on over to Daily Josh. It's my second Football Manager channel where we put up a rebuild once every 2 to 3 days. I might even use this tactic. If you pick me a team, I'll make it happen. Let's get in and create this masterpiece. Now, for you back home, you want to select Tiki Taka. For me, I'm going to go on to Clean Slate because we're going to build the tactic together. But for you back home, simply load in a Tiki Taka and just click the 4-2-3-1. Don't worry though, it gets quite different from your traditional 4-2-3-1. So then the first thing you want to do is instantly go down to the bottom left and change from balanced all the way up to positive. Now again, mine is on Clean Slate, yours should say Tiki Taka. In goal, we are going to look to use a sweeper keeper who is simply going to be set to defend. Again, nothing too crazy so far. It gets a little bit crazy when we get to the midfield. So trust me, when you see how it looks absolutely crazy, but the results, they speak for themselves. Now, the right back situation was an interesting one because first of all, it is going to be a wing back on support, but I wanted this player to be not too attacking, but also not to the point where he won't even get forward, even if you were to put £100 million in front of him. So we're going to have quite a reserved, but also a player that is going to look to put balls into the box. So he's not going to run and go on solo runs and try and put it into the top left corner. He's going to be more of a supportive wing back. So a wing back on support set to take more risks alongside of cross more, run wide, and also tackle harder. So he's not going to be going Jeremy Frimpong style, trying to score tons of goals, cutting inside. He is simply going to run wide and deliver a ball into that box or around that area. And the same can be said, exactly the same, for the left back. Another wing back on support who is going to have identical instructions, take more risks, cross more, run wide, and also set to tackle harder. Both of the centre backs are going to be 2 ball playing defenders. Again, I didn't really want to go too crazy with the back line because, as you're going to see starting now, the tactic starts to get pretty interesting. So let's kick it off right away by dragging that player up there, and you can start to see how this might look a little bit interesting. So on the left hand side of the midfield in a deeper area, we are going to use a DM who is going to be set to support. Now this player is going to have some instructions consisting of dribbling less, shooting less, alongside of also tackling harder and also marking tighter. I want him to be an absolute nightmare to get past, be very tight to his men in the midfield and put in aggressive challenges, and when he wins the ball back, I don't really want him dribbling with it and definitely not having shots. So a nice reserved DM player sat deep. Now going up the pitch a little bit, we are going to use a CM and he is going to be set to support, and he is going to have some very important instructions consistent of taking more risks, shooting less, alongside of also tackling harder. So whereas the DM will not have more shots, this player is also going to be told to do the same, but the passing completely different. So this player here is obviously going to be quite reserved. I want this player to get forward, take a lot of passing risks, and really add a lot to this team. Now I will say at this part of the video, if you are interested in getting all of these wonderful perks, including access to all 3 of the tactics on display today, you'd also get them on mobile, on console. That's not just this tactic, that is all of my year's tactics, all of my year's rebuilds, set pieces, training, one-on-one tactics, tactical help, access to monthly giveaways, and so much more, you can come over and check out the Patreon. We've got a 20% off sign-on fee. So if you are never been there before, you can save yourself a fair bit of money and get a ton of perks and be part of a team of 5,000 people. So make sure you head on over and get involved, because that page is growing into a lovely, lovely FM community who all come over to the streams. We talk about each other's saves. I load up your saves sometimes. We break it down. So make sure you come on over. But this is another step in the tactic going a little bit crazy, because we are going to add in a shadow striker who actually positions over to the left. Now, this is where obviously the shape gets very interesting, because it's almost like some sort of triangle, but in the reverse shape. But trust me, it does work really well. Now, this shadow striker is going to be told to shoot more often, and this just helps provide goals from where the false 9 lacks a little bit. So he must have shoot more often on. For the wide areas, you know what's going to be coming. It is going to be 2 Ramdeuters. So on the right, a Ramdeuter. On the left, another Ramdeuter. And both of these players are going to be told to do 2 things: dribble more and also tackle harder. If we're going to commit to using 2 Ramdeuters, I want them to be dribbling and confident with the ball. And because of the role, they naturally are going to get forwards. They're naturally going to roam, move into channels, and also just sit quite narrow, which is quite handy because our wingbacks then can actually overlap. So on the rare occasion they are going to run up, they can go up and have room to deliver a ball in. 2, where the tactic takes another very interesting shape, the false 9, who comes in, of course, on support. And he simply is going to be told to shoot less often, roam, and also move into channels. Essentially, do what a false 9 does and create instead of score. Now, this is a very interesting shape tactic, but it all works in very unique ways. So, for example, this false 9 will drop sort of deep here, and it will sort of be a great addition because this CM will find it a lot easier to link up to a player that's a bit deeper. This shadow striker will then sort of go here, if not here, so he will also act as that striker, and the DM sort of covers all this area here. So they are in these areas for a reason. It's not just to look cool. The false 9 will drop deep, linking him closer to the CM. The shadow striker sort of needs that space to go into, so he is going to be positioned a little bit to the left so he can run in. And of course, when this player runs in, as the Ramdeuter does, he's going to be sitting narrow. It replaces the area, so everyone sort of just interlocks really, really well. Going over to the team instructions, we are going to go down by 1 to fairly narrow. We're going to overlap left, overlap right while playing out from the back. Mixed crosses is going to be the choice today. A higher tempo and a shorter passing directness. When it comes to in transition, we're going to counter press, counter, distribute quickly, and play to the entire back line. And lastly, out of possession, we're going to deploy the higher defensive line with that high press alongside of a maxed out trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in, and also set up to step up more with the line. Sorry about that. Going over to the attacking version. Now, this tactic is nuts, okay? This tactic, I would say, do not go into a whole game with. It is purely to switch to if you're 1-0 down, you want to try and get even more crazy, commit more men forward, and really get stuck in. Now, the goalkeeper and the defenders almost remain the same, but the ball players are both now going to be on dribble more and also tackle harder. Again, a real big attacking change. The wingbacks are going to remain exactly the same, so the wingbacks and goalkeeper exactly the same. The ball players almost the same, with 2 additional instructions. A box-to-box comes in on the right on support, on take more risks, shoot less, get forwards and tackle harder. And next to him, a CM on automatic, pass it short, take fewer risks, dribble less, shoot less, roam, and move into the channels. So both players now actually central, opposed to one being central and one deep. So again, quite the commitment. The Ramdeuters do remain the same, the shadow striker remains the same, and we are going to scrap the false 9 purely if you're trying to get a goal, you need a striker role that is going to get that, and that is what the advanced forward does. On the same instructions, so he does have the same sort of vibe to him, but he will just make them more dangerous runs in behind and hold up the ball and just do a really good job. So make sure you do consider at least playing this way. Of course, if you want to use a false 9 still, you can make that happen, but trust me, the advanced forward will get in a lot more dangerous areas, especially when you see what we've done to the defensive line and things like that. So the other big change before we go over the team instructions is the mentality. We are going to go up by 1 to attacking. The attacking width is going to go down by 1 to fairly narrow. Overlap left, overlap right while playing out from the back. The final third, mixed crosses. Be more expressive is going to be selected, shorter, and the tempo is going to go up by 1, 2 higher. In transition, we're going to counter press, counter, play to the entire backline with no favoured distribution type, and also distribute quickly. Usually, from what I saw, you are going to be seeing a mixture of rolling the ball out and of course taking short goal kicks. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go in with the much higher, the high press, a maxed out trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in, and also step up more. Now, if you are looking to use this tactic to defend a game out with as well, we have got you covered, and it is going to be a more sort of calm, shorter passing play style, more possession based. The back line, the wing backs, incredibly basic. Simply 2 wing backs on support, both on the default, 2 default ball playing defenders, a default sweeper keeper, where you're going to have 2 DMs, a little bit different. On the left, on support, dribble less, shoot less, tackle harder, and mark tighter. On the right, take fewer risks, dribble less, shoot less, and also tackle harder. 2 Ram Deuters remain unchanged, the Shadow Striker remains unchanged, and the False 9 also remains unchanged, as does the default variant. So a big difference there. And the other big difference, all the way down to balance. The attack and width is going to remain the same. We are also still going to play out from the back, but of course, because we are trying to defend a game out, we haven't got as attacking wing backs anyway. We are not going to look to overlap left and right. We are simply only going to have play out from the back selected. We are also for the first time going to dribble less. We are going to have the tempo set to higher, but the passing is going to go all the way down to much shorter, just to have that more controlled sort of possession-based game. Now, the one thing when doing this tactic and trying to make it a lot more reserved was one thing I noticed was we were lacking goals, because I did have hold shape on, and it was great for possession, but we were not really scoring any goals at all. So we are still going to have counter on, because the wing backs will fly forward and the front 4 really will attack. So make sure you've got that on with the counter press on and play to anyone across the back line. And lastly, to finalize this crazy tactic, we are going to go with the out of possession with the standard line, the high press, and standard when it comes to the trigger press. Now, this is by far one of the most craziest tactics I've ever made, but if a viewer wants something, I will make it happen. So he requested 2 Ram Deuters and a false 9. That is going to be in the default tactic. The only one that's not in technically is going to be the attacking one, which does have that advanced forward, but the default one, which the testing was done on, majority of it anyway, about 75%, it has delivered. I will rate it probably a 7.5 out of 10, because there are areas that probably could improve. But let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've got any wild ideas, whether it be no centre-backs, no strikers, 19 wingers, whatever you want to see, let me know in the comments. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Swing on by the live stream sometime, and I'll see you in the next one.